BCA 101, Introduction to Computers and Information Systems. We'll talk briefly today about web authoring, creating websites. We can have a presence on the web everywhere from developing our own HTML code and putting that up on a web server. All the way to just creating a page on Facebook, because that would give us a web presence. So websites, you have to have the code for the browser to interpret, and then you need a server for that code to run on. Then you adjust the code and push it up to the server, and then people access it from the server and bring it to their device. Seems pretty simple. You can do this. The servers can be created, not real expensive. There's different software that allows you to create a web server. Some proprietary, some open source. We've talked about that already. And then you have to figure out a way to get the server connected to the internet. So you can set this up through your own ISP and set it up so that you have that communications, like in set up a small business with the ISP, small business connection, or you can buy services out in the cloud. And the cloud then would connect into the internet through an ISP, and the cloud would give you a server with some space on the server. Now, if you're going to have a website, the design is very important. Everything from the color to the functioning of links to the visual organization and so forth. So there are lots of factors. If you're designing a website for a business, you would want to have it be a value to the business and not a devalue to the business. Alright. In a website we have links. Typically you can link to another page on the same web server, or you can externally. So you can link to pages externally. If you remember in the video on how Google gathers its information, it looks a lot at the links to prioritize websites. How many other people link to the website and so forth. The links must work. You don't want to have links going nowhere. Links must work. When we design graphics for a website, especially if you're using graphics from off the internet, you have to make sure, first of all, you have to make sure your graphics, that you're not using something that's copyrighted on your website. So it has to be a legitimate one. And when you design them, graphics, or when you create the images you're going to put on the site, you don't want to make them too big, so you want to size them appropriately. What's interesting is some website authoring software, a lot of like Adobe and so forth. When you are working on something that's going to go on to a website, it will help you figure out the size. You know, if you make it too big, the monitor doesn't actually then use all of the bits, and then it loads too slow. So figuring out the sizing and how you will locate the graphics on or images on the website are very important, especially, like I said, the size. How it's laid out, is it useful? You know, how do how do people navigate? You know, how do they move through the information? We talked a little bit about navigation. You got, you know, hyperlinks, and you can link right within text, and then you have your graphics can be links. How you design so somebody can flow, especially if you have multiple pages and then sub-pages under a page, and then some sub-pages under there, and then back to the main pages, so somebody can navigate and flow easily through the content. Little things like sometimes if you have a long page of material, people have a link at the bottom to send somebody just back up to the top of the page. So how that works is really important for the website to be useful. And so then that leads right into this down here, website ease of use. Okay. How you lay it out determine how easy to use. There are a number of different website authoring software. You can some allows you to do it via the internet, so you can actually, there's software, an app in the cloud that allows you to create your website. You can get authoring software loaded on your device, and then it'll allow you to put together a website. Some places do most of it free in the cloud, like Facebook. Facebook helps you organize a web page, and you really don't need to know very much at all about designing websites. And then there's everywhere from that all the way down to getting space on a server and developing your own code and doing it from scratch. Anybody can have a website, like I said. Facebook, other social media allows you to have a web presence. There are services that allow you to create websites. Google is one example, but there are other ones out there that are actually, a lot of them are free, and so most anybody, and it's not that expensive. Everywhere's from free, of course you have to have access to the internet, to, you know, some cost depending on what you want to do. So in a nutshell, you need to have a server to put your content, and you need the code. You can use web authoring software to create the code, or there are some particular places that there's some services that allow you to create a website with little knowledge at all of code. You know, they just help you put it together. In reality, there's HTML code that runs on that server and then is accessed via the internet through a browser. Important that the design, you can do as much damage with a website as good. So you want to make sure the links work, the graphics load quickly, how it's laid out, and that it's easy to use. And that's it.